When you're harboring potentially some confusion or at some point maybe a secret about what you feel or your orientation may be, any type of bullying sometimes feels like it's attacking you personally and that your orientation has something to do with that.
I used to have lunches thrown at my locker, and after a couple months of that, literally months, the janitors just were like, well, you know what, we have the entire school to clean up, so if you could help us clean up, you know, your own locker that's been defaced, that'd be awesome. And I'd have fag and dyke scrawled on the gym bathrooms, and I'd go up to the teachers and I'd say, look, my name is written right next to an insult. And they were like, well, it's really hard to match up writing, you know, we can't really do anything about it. The worst one was the petition. I had a lot of people petition and put signatures down saying that that I shouldn't be in the women's locker room because you don't let boys in the locker room. Why would you let lesbians in the locker room? The reason you don't let boys in the locker room is because they're gonna look at girls and the girls are gonna feel uncomfortable. Why would you let a lesbian in? Isn't that the same thing? And when they found the petition, my principal pulled me aside. There were 200 signatures on it, and he didn't do a thing about it.
I came to the big city, and I found a lot of people that were like me, like wanted to hang out with me, wanted to know who I was, and I wanted to know who they were. And then I went back home for my sister's graduation. I think I was 23, and I thought I'd passed all that. I heard, hey Feg, I thought we got rid of you, and I turned around and there was a beer bottle smashed and I got 22 stitches in my face.
As a lot of transgender people, I identified from a very early age with the people that I was attracted to, so I was attracted to women from a very young age. I was born female, and at 12 I came out as a lesbian, which went really badly, mostly with my parents and various other things. At 15 my parents kicked me out. I started living on my own and put myself through high school, and then at 19 I came out as transgendered and started transitioning to male.
Getting up the courage to come out. I was very, very scared about my family's reaction. I mean, my parents, were very religious upbringing, so I was worried that that may conflict with their religious beliefs. So in any case, I came out to them when I ended up going home for Christmas one year. And it was actually the day before I was leaving to come back to Calgary. And, I ended up basically telling my mom at then, I'm gay. And I'd left it until the last night before I was leaving because I was thinking, okay, this doesn't go well, at least I'm leaving tomorrow and, I don't have to see them again for a while. But it went really well, actually. She said, oh, honey, that's great, and gave me a big hug, which really made me feel great then.
I went to a high school that actually had a gay-straight alliance, if you can imagine it, about 15 or 10 years ago. And we tried to, I was part of the alliance in high school, and we definitely tried to stop any type of bullying that happened.
I guess I came out to my mom in high school. I was walking home from school with my girlfriend. We're holding hands, walking home, and 2 girls from school had followed us home, and we didn't realize it, and they started throwing rocks at us.
My grandparents are perfectly fine with me. I came out as a woman, and they said, okay, great, bring her for dinner, and I said I want to be a man, and they said, yes, we know. Just tell us what you want us to call you, that's fine.
My dad came for a visit, and I fed him a few drinks beforehand, and I told him, and he just went, well, I guess I'm not getting any grandkids then, hey? And that was it.
My father called and we had a conversation, and he finally said, right before we hang up, I just want you to be happy.
That's it, There's nothing we can do, we're sorry, but this is a freedom of speech issue. The kids just are trying to express themselves how they feel about you. And well, why are you worried about the fact that people call you gay, the fact that people call you a dyke? Isn't that what you are? Why would you be ashamed of that? Why are you taking that as an insult? Which is funny because those words, Lao, as an adult, is what I take pride in. And the fact that you can't insult me using my gender and using my sexuality as you could when I was 13 or 14.
I think that sometimes you can be your own worst bully, and growing up in a society that doesn't necessarily either understand or provide a whole lot of support for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered individuals, you can often turn a lot of that negative talk inwards. During a time of transition for most people, whether that's from high school to university, or in my case coming out in university, there is a lot of personal distress, and that negative talk that you already hear inside of your head gets turned more inwards based on your sexual orientation or gender identity. And I think that the most difficult time in my life was coming out, but after realizing who I was, I think that the most important thing now is, with the work that I do, getting involved in the community. The more education I've gone under, the more work I've done with the queer community, the more I begin to understand not only myself as a gay man, but the kind of reactions to the world. And I think that a lot of the misinformation is that people think that they won't find any support whatsoever, but I think that when you are true to yourself, you'll find a wealth of support, and whether that's friends you may not think will accept you, or family, or otherwise, it's not to say that there isn't going to be some sort of rejection, but I think that on the whole, you will find that people are generally really supportive, and that there is a community and a whole world out there for you to explore, so that crushing loneliness that you feel in bullying yourself can become abated in time.
I believe your biggest supports is finding those friends and family members who will accept you for who you are. First of all, you have to have that confidence within yourself to be true to yourself and take that step to come out.
I think the best thing that came out of that was when the police came to my house. I didn't feel ashamed because my family and my friends were so concerned. And usually anytime I'd been beat up in the past, I always thought, I need to keep this on the down low, or this is my fault, or this is not right. But when that happened, the concern and the sheer fact of caring coming from my family and friends was overwhelming. And then I was like, this isn't right, and shouldn't be happening. And I felt like, yeah, I'm going to court.
Always keep bullying in a larger context, and sometimes you can really focus on the bullying because it's emotional or negative, and it it hits you hard. But if you can learn to deflect that and turn it into a reason to reach out to a good friend, or even maybe to help someone else, and to give of yourself, I think that helps you deal with bullying because it makes it feel so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things.
It allowed me to do a lot of things that I felt really inspired to do. I now run the Miscellaneous Youth Network as one of the co-chairs.
Be who you are. It's hard to live a double life. There's no burden in your heart when you're true to yourself and to other people.
Think for yourself, be who you are, and love who you are.
From there, I've just flourished in trying to change the world and making them see that we love just like everybody else. Sure, I wanted the white picket fence and the husband and the child, and I had the little girl dream, but the only thing that I'm missing in all of that is the husband. I have a wife, I have a child, and I have a beautiful life.
Just be yourself, and know that things will get better. They will.
Acceptable for me to be anything that I want to be. I'd be more than accepted where I'd live. I'd be loved and encouraged and supported.
Be yourself, be different, be who you are.
So, life can be very tough sometimes. Things definitely get better. There's a lot to look forward to. And, I kind of look back and, think in high school, I never would have thought, I'd be where I am now.
All of that stuff was so worth it. Like now I can say I did it, and I did it myself, and it's totally possible to deal with those circumstances and get through it. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without the queer community and the activism that I did and the friends that I met. Things like performing in drag was huge for me to get me through that.
Oh, you're only as happy as you let yourself be?
And all of the other things I get to do now, back then, just barely holding on, super depressed, really unhappy, all the way till now, it's a huge change and a huge improvement, and you can get there.
It's important to be angry, but it's important to be positive, and life is about finding a mixture of both.
One of the bravest moments you can have in your life is asking for help when you need it.
That you truly can't start living life until you truly accept who it is that you are.
Just because you may be a member of the queer community, if you're loving a member of the same sex, love is not wrong.
Share whatever story that you have. You know, you never know who you would touch. And there might be just one person out there that you can save. So share your story.
At the end of the day, you just gotta stay strong. You're your own person. Life is your canvas. It's not someone else's to paint, it's yours. You were given that canvas to make your own. Make it unique, make it yours. No matter what you choose, it's gonna be a unique individual.